before spam filters and everything like that, used to come back to thousands of emails and spam. Yeah. It was like the Monty Python, spam. Anyway, I'm not going there. Copyright issues.
Sorry,
I'm not paying John Cleese anything for this. We've already talked about him far too much today.
Hey everybody, it's John Lamberton here alongside my good friend and business partner, Mr. Jason Brockman. We are here for another episode of the Ambitious Lifestyle Business Podcast, where as always, it is our job to help you get more customers and make more money without just working harder. So without further ado, let's dive straight into this month's episode.
Hey everybody, welcome to the summer special of the Ambitious Lifestyle Business Podcast. I reckon is this our sixth summer special or a fifth? I always get confused.
It's one of those two, I reckon.
Good thinking.
Definitely one of those two. I would like to say sixth. It's been going 5 years, and we would have done one the first year, and this was this year. So yeah, I would have say six.
Yeah, we're over 5 years, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yes, we are established podcasters. I did see something yesterday, by the way. We're in the top 5% of podcasts worldwide.
Yeah.
How?
Consistent, routinely putting out content.
I think that is, I wrote about it in Evergreen Assets. I said, like, if you're doing a podcast, you've either got to be like Fawlty Towers, where we're only ever going to do 12 episodes. They're going to be perfectly scripted, perfectly directed, perfectly acted, absolutely perfected to within an inch of their life. Or you be Terry Wogan and just say, we're just going to do thousands of episodes and we're just going to keep going, and it's going to be completely rough and ready. It's going to be a bit of a shambles at time. We're going to go off topic. We're going to ad lib. Which of those two do you think we are?
Well, when you said Fawlty Towers, I was expecting kind of a ranting for every episode. And to be fair, we do a lot of ranting every episode because that is a Fawlty Towers way. So, but not perfectly polished ranting. So, I think we're probably number two. We're more of a Terry Wogan kind of thing.
Yeah, I think looking at the agenda today, we've got plenty of ranting coming up today.
This may be a series of Fawlty Towers in one.
Don't mention the property investing. I got away with it once. Fire!
I don't think
So let's start there. We are almost officially no longer property investors. This has been a long time in the making, hasn't it?
It has been a very long time in the making. It has taken an awful long time to open those curtains and look out and see the sunshine.
So if you pick up one of the early editions or one of the original editions of Big Ideas for Small Businesses and you flick to the back, whereas about the author bit, it says John Lamberton is an investor, entrepreneur and property investor. That's how I described myself back in 2017 when we first launched this podcast. We were taking the money we'd earned from our businesses and we were investing it in more assets. Those assets were property because, as everyone knows, you can't go wrong with bricks and mortar, can you?
No, siree.
Well, it turns out you can. Turns out you can go wrong with bricks and mortar. And we did. We made every mistake under the sun. We talked about this a little bit with Ian Bluck on his episode, because obviously Ian has been very successful with property investment. Many of the people I know in my own network are successful property investors. So why did we get it wrong?
Well, I think there's another line in your book as the lazy entrepreneur, and what you were looking for was somewhere to sink some money and it would turn into lots more money without actually doing an awful lot towards it. And I think that was probably where we went a little bit adrift in terms of, it'll be all right, just put the money in and it'll be done, won't it?
Yep, exactly. I wanted, I've always been a stock market investor since I think I bought my first share when I was probably 18. When I had my first YTS job, I was earning £29.50 a week, and I put like 200 quid into the stock market. So I'd love that idea of just, you put it in the stock market and you just leave it alone, and then you come back years later and it's doubled. It's like, that's nice. And then every year or every 6 months they send you a dividend. It's like, I love this. This is brilliant. And I thought, yeah, well, property's just like that. You buy a house, you stick a tenant in there every month, they pay you some rent. You come back a few years later and your property's doubled in value. You can't go wrong with bricks and mortar. Unless you think it's going to be completely hands-free, and you just trust people you shouldn't trust.
I think that was probably the other thing as well, wasn't it? Because you wanted it to be hands-free, then everybody who was selling that hands-free dream were attractive to you. And therefore it's like, oh, that's a no-brainer, isn't it? That's because they say it's a no-brainer. They're very good. They're in their industry. They know what they're doing. They know their stuff, which means I don't need to. And have my money.
Yeah, exactly. And we did exotic stuff, and it was I used to think property investment was you buy a 3-bedroom house, you stick a family in there, they pay the rent, end of story. We invested in cemetery plots, burial plots in a cemetery that hadn't even been built yet. We invested in a hotel room where you basically just give the hotel a ton of money, and they promise to give you hands-free, a nice 10% return every year, plus 25% bonus at the end of the 10-year term. What could go wrong? Oh, that company's in administration. Is that the one that's under investigation by the Serious Fraud Office for misappropriation of investors' funds? I think it might be. Let's buy a flat in Bradford, sight unseen. Jason, have you ever been to Bradford?
I've never been there.
Me neither.
My only Didn't you have a photograph once that you might have stood next to the sign, or was that on Google Street? I don't know. I can't remember. That's the only contact to look at I've ever seen of it. Anyway, was the vague you were away day football? I don't know. It was just a photo I remember seeing.
Yeah, no, that was a different one. That was actually a bullet dodged.
Oh, that was a different one.
Yeah, that was the same company we bought the flat in Bradford through. They sold us a 2-bedroom house up in Cheshire. I was up watching Argyle play Liverpool. I watched Argyle draw with Liverpool. Got a result at Anfield in the FA Cup. Thought I'll pop along, see how my investment's doing, or my potential investment is doing, only to find that they'd lied to me. And this property that was all being developed and converted into townhouses and flats was actually just a derelict warehouse with a sold sign outside. Oh,
I did remember the story. Well, a story. They went with that. Yeah. So
I mean, in hindsight, the only successful property investment that I've done is a standard 3-bedroom house where we put a family in and they paid the rent every month, and we held that property for about 5 years, and the price went up about 40-50%, so we made some money. Oh, the non-sexy stuff, and even that, it wasn't hands-free, and that was the problem. Was I was trying to make it all like the stock market, where it's completely liquid and it's completely hands-free, and it just wasn't that.
No. So we're out of the property game.
Kind of. I'd say pending companies that are in administration, lawsuits, and investigations by the Serious Fraud Office. Other than that, we're out of the stock. We're out of the property market.
Boom! None of those are things you can control, so that's good.
So, actually, one of the things that I'm thinking about here. So, I've noticed, as for example, the last 1% intake we had, more and more people now talking to us about their retirement. Now, we've never been the retirement gurus, have we?
No.
I did want
very young, aren't we, to be fair?
Well, we are.
We're extremely young, and and got a whole life ahead of us, really, haven't we? So it's retirement. We're not Michael Parkinson, are we? With our pens. That's not us yet.
Yeah. The day we join up with Sun Life. By the way, I did my work experience at Sun Life when I was 15 years old. I was in the Sun Life offices sending out those Parker pens. Yeah, that's what I did.
Real, are they? I didn't realise they were real.
Yeah, I think they might not even been Parkinson, then it might be Michael Aspel that was doing it.
That's going back a bit, yeah.
But yeah, it's an interesting one because, as I said, we've not been the destination for people of a certain age. But I've just noticed that actually we are now attracting lots of people. And whether this is, the great reset of COVID, people in their, say, 50s coming to us saying, I've been running a successful business for the last insert number of years, decades, 2 or more. And I realize now that I don't want to carry on doing this for the foreseeable future, for my twilight years. Or I've got a nice business, but it's quite hard work. And I'd like to start taking it easy. I'd like to start pivoting towards hands-free assets. I'd like to think that I'm going to work less time in the business. I'm going to get some stock market investments or some nice hands-free property. And I'm going to start just taking more holidays and things like that. I just notice more and more. So I just wonder, are we getting old? And are we, I mean, you used to, obviously you're much, much older than me. So are we starting to now become the pre-pensioner planners?
I think not. I think COVID was a good. I definitely think not. We're not that old. I think COVID created a place where people weren't working as much as they were before, and gave them a real good taste of what their lifestyle could look like moving forward. And I think the furloughing and all that kind of stuff, the grant money that enabled them to stay at home and to protect the NHS and all that jazz, meant that they could see what that could be like. Actually, I'm not working, I'm in the garden, I'm going for a walk, I'm now managing to enjoy some holidays, getaways, blah, 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 blah. And that lifestyle change is what is attracting them to our ambitious lifestyle business.
Yeah, I like that. It's the glimpse of what the lifestyle element could be. They've had the ambition for years, and now all of a sudden it's like, oh, yeah, I don't, yeah. Like you said, they've had...
Most business owners are head down in the grind, doing the do all day long, 8 o'clock in the morning till 8 o'clock at night, and not having time to think about what that free time could mean to them. And having that time during COVID enabled them to get that taste. And now it's a kind of like, oh, that was really nice. I really enjoyed my time with the family. I really enjoyed my time sitting in the garden, potting plants. I really enjoy my time going fishing. I really enjoy my time having a month in Tenerife or whatever the case.
I don't think you were allowed to have a month in Tenerife during lockdown.
But you can now. The doors are open. I've still got me grant. I'm going off to Tenerife for a month. But having that taste and wanting that freedom. And I think saying that, about the holidays and stuff, it's like having 2 years without holidays. I know as soon as the doors open for you, that was really important that you managed to get out and to have your holidays that have been cancelled 6 times before, and everybody's doing that this year. That's something that everybody's doing, catching up on those holidays that they'd already booked for 2 years. It's just one of those things. So yeah, holidays, free time, hobbies. People have hobbies now because they didn't have hobbies before because of their head down doing the grind. They've got hobbies and things now and interests which they never had before. So yeah, finding that time, making that time in their diary is really important to them. And yeah, come and join us.
When you're in the daily doing the thing, you can't see what's around you. You can't see the opportunities that you're not taking. When someone forces that interruption on you and says, no, you have to sit in your garden and potter around with the plants, you have to spend some time with your friends and family, not so much your friends, but circle of 6 maybe. Putting that forced break has made so many people question, well, why would I want to go back to what I was doing before? Is there another way? And I think that's perhaps where we come in with the whole ambitious lifestyle business is, well, yes, during lockdown we had furlough, we had grants, we couldn't spend as much money. Literally our expenditure, well, you can't eat out at restaurants, you can't go on holiday, we're not driving anywhere. So actually our expenditure has just gone through the floor. How do I replicate that when things are back to, air quote, normal?
Yeah, absolutely.
And the answer, of course, is an ambitious lifestyle business.
Exactly that. Exactly.
Cool. So let's think about the 1% Club, because obviously this is our summer special. August 22. Next month, we open the doors once again. This always seems to come around really quickly. I can't believe we used to do intakes every 3 months. Oh my God, at 6 months is enough. Because our last intake, which was obviously March 2022, was mental, I think.
I was going to go insane. So yeah, same word. That's good.
It was a record-breaking intake. We had more people join in March than had joined in any previous intake, which in a way is great, and in a way it's not great. And in terms of onboarding, a huge number of people, it was more than double the previous September intake, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So planning our time and our resources to actually onboard those people during the month that we also have the Cheltenham Festival in our sports betting business is just, insane, mental, horrible. Really hard work.
And then I introduced, more things to the onboarding thing. So actually that took up even more time. So it was, let's not do one call. Let's have 2 or 3, and then let's get you well and truly established into what we're doing. So yeah,
exactly. No, we've talked on the podcast several times about the 1% Club and kind of who it's right for and who it helps. One thing I think that might be useful, given some of the lessons and some of the people, not everyone, but some of the people who came into our intake, and we do get a few people like this in every intake, we attract people who shouldn't join the 1% Club, people who normally very quickly we have a conversation behind the scenes and say, they're not right, are they? They won't be here long. Why has this person joined? So I thought actually it'd be useful for us to have a little chat about the sort of people who shouldn't join the 1% Club. So what's your sort of first?
I want to start with one that was, I thought, absolute genius way of getting into our world and able to have a conversation with us. I thought that was rather good. The fact they had something to sell us, and that was the only reason he joined us, was a bit unreasonable for us, really. But I thought it was a genius way of getting into our world and actually getting to speak to us and just joining the club. Yeah, that's my first one. So those that want to do the LinkedIn connecting pitch, but take it one step further and actually have a conversation with us. I thought that was that's probably the person we don't really want to be joining the club.
Yeah, it's one of my mentors used to quote Bananarama. It's not what you do, it's the way that you do it. That's what gets results. So the strategy that this guy was deploying on paper is brilliant. So he was like a coach for coaches. So I coach membership platforms like the 1% Club. So the way he gets to speak to the decision maker within the business is by putting his credit card in and purchasing. Now, immediately that says I'm serious and I get to speak to the organ grinder rather than the monkey straight away. Brilliant. The only problem was that had this guy joined the club, took part in the club, just told us what he did, we would have been naturally curious about him, what he does and how he can help us. But he didn't do that. So it's not what you do, it's the way that you do it. So we did our usual onboarding process. We sent him some welcome videos. We tried to arrange kickoff calls. And he replied to that with, here's my pitch. At which point we immediately went, oh, this guy's just joined to pitch to us. So immediately we went, screw you. This isn't going to end well. And sure enough, was it 3 weeks? He was gone because he only joined to pitch to us. So if you want to pitch something to us, don't.
And he clearly never read any of your books because he was expecting instant replies to emails, and we don't do that because we're not sat here waiting for emails, are we?
Yeah, let's arrange a sales call with John. Let's not. My next one is people who don't have the time to implement anything that we might teach you in the 1% Club.
Mm-hmm.
It's a real oxymoron because a lot of what we teach you in the 1% Club is time management. It's planning resources. It's using your time more effectively. And we get a lot of people who join and then go, yeah, I haven't got time to do all this time management thing. And it's probably, I think, probably the main reason that people fall out of the club is I haven't got time to implement any of what we teach you. And I think some people think that they need to do everything. They think, I've joined the club, therefore I need to go on every coaching call. I need to book a one-to-one with Jason every week. I need to read all the posts. I need to post in the Facebook group every day. And I need to devote 10 hours a week to this new thing I've just signed up for. No. Minimum effective dose. I think there's a line I've used, which I'm quite proud of. The 1% Club is not an all-you-can-eat buffet. It's a pick and mix. It's finding the elements of the club that work best for you and implementing something. It's about leaving your business 1% better than you found it every week. So you've got to have some time to do that. And I know we kind of force people's hands here a little bit because we only open the doors in March and September. So we open doors in March, lots of people come in and then tell us, yeah, I'm really busy at the moment, so I can't do anything with it. Okay, I get that. Maybe now isn't the time. Maybe you should join in the next intake. If you know you're not going to have time, and I once did this, I signed up for a platform and I knew 2 months before I joined when I was going to join because I knew, I haven't got any time at the moment. So if I join now, I'm just going to pay 2 months and do nothing with it. Whereas if I wait until I've got some downtime, some quiet time in the business, then I can do it.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's one of the things which I really strive to get across in that first onboarding call, the kickoff call, really, is that there is so much content, there's so much available, there's so many plans that you can take and blueprints that you can run with, but actually none of those are only right when it's right for you.
Yeah.
It's not a linear program. It's not start here, end here, there's your success, you're a millionaire, retired, blah blah, whatever your goals are. It's actually, say, pick and mix, which is really, really good analogy there. It's actually, no, I need to know a bit about this. Great. Well, there's some coaching calls, there's some masterclasses, there's books you can read, there's posts in the Facebook group, there's these people that do that in their business, which you can model on. That's the kind of things which we like to share around.
Definitely. What's your next one then in terms of criteria for people who shouldn't really join or not shouldn't join, but shouldn't join now, perhaps?
I was going to go for last roll of the dice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think because you've got to have time and you've got to have some resource to be able to put some of the things which we put in practice. If this is you're on your death throes of your business and that you're about to go under and kind of thing, this isn't really the kind of place, because 1% improvement each week is
1% isn't going to make much difference.
Not a lifesaver for you. and as harsh as that is, I don't think we're the right place to come if you're absolutely. Yeah. As I say, last roll of the dice, I'm going to give John and Jason a chance. That's a bit late, I think, in the day.
It is, because the power of the 1% gains is compounding, and compounding happens over a long period of time. Week one, great, you're 1% better. If that's the last roll of the dice, well, you're still not going to meet the bills. You're still not going to be able to pay the VAT man next week. Week two, you're 2.01% up. Week four, you're 4.2% up. And it's not until kind of you look at, a year later, actually, I've done 52 1% improvements, yet I'm 69% better off. And it's then the compounding really kicks in, and those weekly 1% gains become larger. And each week they become larger. If you've ever played with a compound interest calculator, it's the bit towards the end, it's the exponential curve. That goes, the hockey stick growth comes in the later weeks, the later years. So if you are last roll of the dice, last chance saloon, it's unlikely that improving your business by 1% per week is going to be enough. So the ideal scenario there is come join the 1% club 6 months before it's last roll of the dice, and we'll help prevent you getting there. It's about getting a better business. That kind of leads me to my kind of next one, which is those who are completely new to business. Now, in the past, I've said, well, if you come to us with an established business, we'll help you improve it by 1% per week. If you've got a brand new business, we'll actually help you avoid loads of the mistakes that everyone's made. You'll make bigger gains per week because you're starting from such a low base that you could double your business in a month. You could double it again in another quarter. You could probably double it again the next quarter. So, weekly 10% gains for a new business is possible. But I've looked at the data. I've noticed the correlation. Those who are very, very new to business, not necessarily those that have a new business, but those who are new to business, those who are a bit green, a bit of a newbie, they tend to get overwhelmed. They tend to think that they don't belong because they notice the quality of the conversations happening within the club and think, I'm not there. And a little bit of imposter syndrome kicks in. So they step back, they don't do the work, they don't implement anything, and they go, well, this is a big expense. I'm paying quite a lot of money here in comparison to my turnover, and I'm not getting the results from it. Well, the reason you're not getting the results is because you're not doing the work. And the reason you're not doing the work is because you're like a rabbit in the headlights and getting overwhelmed. So I want to put a caveat in there in some way that, the 1% Club can work for people who are new to business or people who have a relatively new business. But just be wary that we have noticed a correlation there whereby lots of people who are new tend to struggle with overwhelm. They tend to think they don't belong in the club. And I think we had this little discussion earlier, everyone's winging it. Everyone is kind of hoping that no one notices that, yes, they may look like a graceful swan on top of the water, but they're all paddling furiously underneath. Is there any more that you can think of that?
We want action takers. That's the thing, really, and that's obviously a positive. So what we don't want is procrastinators joining the club, and that's usually down to overwhelm, and that I can absolutely help with. That's usually down to time, and absolutely that's something that I can help with. Keeping you accountable, feet to the fire, and all that kind of stuff is exactly what I'm there to do in order to get you to hit your 90-day plan. The difficulty is when you don't take the actions, whether you don't join us on our calls or you don't do the things that you need to kind of do, because the life is getting in the way too much or your business is getting in the way too much. You do need to have that, as I say, we'll go back to round to the circle, which you've got to have that time, but you've also got to have that inclination to take the actions that you kind of need to do to make that business and hit those goals and get to your big three out and things like that, really. Procrastinating because you're overwhelmed, or procrastinating because you want to be perfect, or procrastinating because you just can, or procrastinating because you find lots and lots of shiny things that you want to kind of do and actually you want to keep changing direction and that sort of stuff. If that's naturally you, we can help you with that, and we've got tools and tools and ways of doing it. But if you don't think you're receptive to those tools, then this isn't the place for you either, I would say. That may be a bit harsh. That may be a bit tricky, but to be honest, that's that. Again, looking at the data, looking at the people we've had, those that are only ever going to be chasing shiny objects and not doing anything with the things that they have, don't tend to stay with us for so long.
It's almost, if you think about, every one of the criteria we've said so far, the guy who just wanted to pitch to us had no intention of implementing what we were doing. The people who don't have time don't implement anything that we do. The people who are at last roll of the dice don't implement everything over a prolonged period of time. The people who are completely new to business, who get rabbit in the headlights, stop implementing the stuff that we do. So actually, that's the one overarching thing, is actually the people who shouldn't join the 1% Club are those who aren't going to implement, which I know that if you speak to every single person who joined our March intake and you ask them, do you plan on implementing the thing you've just purchased? They would all say, yes, of course I will. But if you speak to them 3 months later and say, have you implemented what you've purchased over the last 3 months? My guess would be 30% of them would say, oh yeah, I'd forgotten about that. Or I've been meaning to do that. Or I had the best of intentions, but life got in the way. And there's plenty of excuses. But as one of my mentors used to say, you can either have excuses or you can have results. Which would you rather? So yeah, just blocking out as you know, I call it 1% time. Block out that 1% time every week. How much 1% time? That's up to you. For some people, it's 15 minutes jumping on a one-to-one with you, and then another 15 minutes actually implementing the thing that you just talked about. You don't just have a chat with Jason and go, cool, that's my business improved this week. You've got to do the work as well. For others, it will be, you know, an hour a week, a day a month, just some time blocked out. It's in your calendar. It's an immovable object to implement and improve your business. Because if you're not blocking out that time, you're not improving your business.
Those 1% gains don't make themselves, do they? You've got to do some work there to make that happen.
There's a recession coming, isn't there?
Well, you feel it in the water, can't you? You pop your toe into the and it's getting a little bit chilly out there, isn't it? It is getting a bit. We're in the height of the summer. Those that are in 2022 will know that we've got a heat wave just knocking on our door right now. But that is to cover up the fact that it's getting a bit chilly on the money front, isn't it? It is going to get very chilly, especially when October comes, when price rises go up, heating doesn't go on. It's going to get very chilly.
Yeah. Do we heat or do we eat? That's the question on everyone's lips. So we can't go too deep on how to cope with a recession. We're going to do a full-on masterclass for the 1% Club members. So obviously we will do a 60-minute deep dive into how to kind of survive a recession. But I always like to think more longer term. And I've looked at some data today, and the average length of a recession is 15 months. Now, that's not very long in the grand scheme of things. We were talking earlier about long-term planning for the rest of your life, improving a business over the long term. And it's so much here that, you know, again, the people who aren't right for the 1% Club are those who think short term. We want long-term thinkers who say, well, okay, 15 months. So, okay, let's go back 15 months. This is coming out in August 2022. May 2021. That is 15 months. That doesn't seem that long ago, does it?
No, it doesn't, no.
That's 15 months. Boom, gone, done. You know, we were over a year into the coronavirus pandemic at that point. So remember as well that is the official duration of a recession, which means that the 15th month, or the final quarter, the fifth quarter, was the final quarter of negative GDP growth, which means that we were already starting to see green shoots at that point. We were already starting to head out of recession at that point. So you might actually be looking at 9 to 12 months of real negativity. And I don't want to downplay the fears of recession, because short term, business owners need to survive a recession. That has to come first. But long term, once survival is assured, we need to think longer term. And if you think long term, then recessions are opportunities. And I was on a call. So I've got an investment mastermind that I'm part of, and we do a monthly call. So I've just did that call this morning. And I mentioned in this call that if you look at the mainstream media, it's very negative right now. It's, you know, stock markets are crashing all around us. Inflation is raging. There's some kind of political turmoil. I've not really noticed anything about that or heard anything about it at all. But it's really, really, you know, it's Edward Stark going, winter is coming.
It very much is, isn't it? I mean, there is just so much going on in this world right now that, yeah, just throw a recession in there, you know, it's just going to bob along, isn't it? It's just gonna, there's absolutely, it's just going to happen around us. And I think, I know you don't downplay how bad a recession can be, kind of thing, but that said, as you say, there's opportunities in amongst that, and yeah, you do need to kind of survive. It's never feels as long as it actually is, and all it really means is there's negative growth in the country, and that is it. It doesn't matter how much negative growth there is in the country. There's just a bit of negative growth.
Exactly. The other, so yeah, obviously I read the mainstream media, very, very negative. I also read the investment press. So I subscribe to an economics magazine. And over the last couple of weeks, they've become really positive. So they've actually started saying, it's a great time to buy. Everything's on sale. Look how cheap this stock is. Oh my God, this share here has never been this cheap. Stuff that was trading at a price to earnings ratio of 12 times earnings is now at 7.8 times earnings. It's got a dividend yield of 11.5%. They already price in the recession. So if you're investing, and again, I know we do get some investors listening to this, it's mainly business owners, but if you're investing in the stock market for the short term, it's worrying times, because you could catch a falling knife. You could buy into a share. I've bought shares in the last month that have dropped another 10%, another 15%, I think is my worst performing stock. But I'm not buying for a week, a month, or even 6 months, or even the recessionary period. I'm buying, as my hero Warren Buffett says, my favorite holding period is forever. And there's a reason that it's called shareholder, because you are supposed to hold the shares. So if you buy the shares and you have long-term thinking, there's a fantastic opportunity. And pivoting that back to business, another Warren Buffettism, which most people know. Most people have heard this saying before: be fearful when others are greedy, and greedy when others are fearful. So right now, others are fearful. That's the time to be greedy. If you evaluate Warren Buffett's stock purchases, he has made most of his purchases following the tech crash of 2000, following 9/11. He then sat on his hands for about 6 years until the global financial crisis of 2008, when he invested more money than he had ever invested before. He's then sat on his hands for another decade and is now going into the market, because he knows that the profit is made when you buy. The opportunity is there. And the biggest mistake that I see small business owners make with a recession is A, thinking short term rather than long term. Yes, as I said, you have to think short term enough to survive. It's no good saying, I'm going to focus on the horizon and focus on the horizon. Whoops, I've crashed my car. Or whoops, probably a better analogy, my car hasn't run out of petrol. But the biggest mistake I see business owners make is focusing on expenses, cutting back. I'm going to cut back. I'm going to shrink. That is what a recession is, by the way. It's the global economy shrinking. It is a natural process. The economy is always growing or shrinking. It's just recession is prolonged shrinking. But if you cut your expenses, there is only so far you can cut until you get to zero, and you can't cut anymore. If you focus instead on increasing income, there is no limit to that. Now, it's difficult to increase income, but it's not impossible. And the example that I'm probably going to use quite a lot over the coming 15 months is a local lad, our local Del boy. So Chris Dawson from the Range Superstores. Nobody had heard of this guy. Nobody outside of Plymouth had heard of this guy before about 2009, 2010. I would say prior to the last recession, his net worth would have been a couple of million, you reckon?
Maybe.
Yeah. He had, a couple of stores. They were not great quality, discount
stores, weren't they? That's what they were.
Yeah. Then the recession kicks in 2008, and Chris Dawson gets on the phone to the administrators of MFI and says, "Oh, MFI's just gone into administration. You must have a load of stock there." And we got tons of furniture and sofas and tables and chairs and all sorts. So Chris Dawson says, "Well, I'll take the lot, but I'm only going to pay, 7 pence in the pound." And the administrator went, "You're willing to buy all of our stock?" And I went, yeah. Okay. So he got a 93% discount on a ton of stock. He then went to the administrators of Focus Do It All, another wonderful company that had gone into administration, and said, you've got all these leases on all these buildings. That's quite a debt mountain that you've got there. I'll take them on, but I'll only pay 13 pence in the pound. So the administrator said, yeah, absolutely. So he put the two together. So he put the MFI stock, which he got a 93% discount on, into the warehouses that he got an 83% discount on, and became Plymouth's first ever billionaire as a result. So there is a guy who kind of 100x'd his net worth probably in about 3 years because of a recession, not despite a recession, not just during a recession, but because of a recession. When others were fearful, he was greedy. And don't be put off by that term greed and think, well, I'm not a greedy person. But actually, it is just being ambitious then. Be ambitious when others are scared. When the mainstream media is full of, hey, we're all millionaires and we're all, making money in the property market is easy, that's the time to get out. That's the time to be scared, because there's no money to be made. And this, again, it's through the benefit of time travel, I know that next month, we might discuss this money mindset with Michelle Marsland, who may or may not be our guest on the September episode of the Ambitious Lifestyle Business Podcast. And she talked to me about people who are focused on the expense, and they look at the expense column. And when a recession hits, that's the first place people go. They look at, what am I spending? And they cut it. And we've had it already. We've had people cancel their 1% Club membership. People who we know the 1% Club has generated them more money than they pay us. We know that. We know they're in profit on their membership. And yet they look at the expense column and go, well, there's £100 a month saved. It doesn't make sense long term.
It irritates me just a little, I have to say, especially when you hear the results that they're getting, and you can see that. And it's like, and their opening line is, it's a great group, done lots of wonderful things, managed to turn my bits around. It's like, well, I'm going to cancel. Yeah, what? And maybe that's the one that we want to put on the not welcome group of people to the 1% Club.
Again, it's short-term thinking. The 1% Club's been great for me. Yeah, it's I've paid £100 a month and I'm making £1,000 a month. Yeah, but you haven't done anything for me this week. So I'm gonna look at that as an expense. I'm gonna think short term, and I'm gonna cancel the £20 a month, £20 a week plus VAT that I'm paying you. It's like, no, why don't you actually implement some of what we do to increase that? Again, the more you're compounding these gains, the more you're thinking long term, the more you're going to see it. And being short term thinking is the greatest risk long term to your business.
Yep.
And I think just recessions, they naturally cause people to have that finite window. And again, there's a little bit of psychology in play where, if you see negative growth you see the, negative media, you see everyone, people around you perhaps being made redundant, losing their jobs. That, customers are leaving, customers are cancelling, and everyone's tightening their belt. You just extrapolate that forever, and you think it's going to be like this forever. It's not. 15 months is the average of the last 3 recessions, if you exclude the micro recession that we kind of manipulated ourselves in 2020 for COVID. 15 months, that's all you got to do. If you can get through 15 months, then think about opportunities. Think long term.
I like it.
Yeah.
Now, you've mentioned the media an awful lot and how negative it is, and and absolutely, you're incredibly right, of course, because no matter which strain of the bloody media that you read, it's all very negative, isn't it? The whole world's going down. and they're helping to bring it down. Let's just say that as well, shall we say? They do talk us into a good old pit, don't they? But holidays, and we talked about holidays a bit earlier as well, are a fantastic time because we tend not to look at it. And I went away for a week not so long ago and actually didn't look at anything. No media, no news. I'm normally plugged into something that tells me what's going on in the world, but so it turned it off and it was absolutely amazing. Nothing really drastic happened either, which was quite good. But I know you said just now there may be some political thing going on in this country right now, but you don't know because you haven't looked. So actually, it's good. So digital detox, and I know that's really important to you, and I know that is exactly what you do when you go away for your holidays and stuff like that, and I do too. So yeah, what would you like to share about that? I reckon how can we improve people's lives?
I think it is just unplugging from the system. It's noticing what your triggers are, where you normally go. When you're bored, and most people I imagine when they're bored will pick up their phone. Mm-hmm. What do you do? What app do you open? Do you automatically go to Facebook, Instagram? Do you go to TikTok? Do you scroll, BBC News? Do you look at stock tickers? Where do you go? And how is that actually helping you? I said before, the first thing I do when I get a new phone is I turn off all the notifications and everything, so it just doesn't do anything. Now, I noticed actually recently that when I've got a little Google widget on my phone to enable me to quickly search for stuff, and I discovered a couple of months ago that when I click this widget, it comes up with news articles which are tailored to me, and so they're all about Warren Buffett, and there's investment stuff, and there's Plymouth Argyle stuff, and there's the bands that I like. Oh, this is brilliant. And so I left it there. And then I realized about 2 days ago that every time I get bored, I pick up my phone and I press the Google button and I just start scrolling. And it doesn't actually serve me. It's distracting me from what I should be doing. And this was the absolute killer. So I've been watching Stranger Things on Netflix recently, and somehow Google knows that, and that's worrying in itself. So they start showing me Stranger Things content, including spoilers for the final episode of the season that I'm currently watching, that I haven't seen yet, in the headline. So immediately I know who's going to die. I know what happens. I don't know the specifics of it because I don't click on the article. It's like, spoilers? Why would you give me spoilers?
Don't tell me. I haven't seen that episode yet. Oh, that's that series. I've got
it was JR who did it.
JR.
And it was all a dream. They haven't referenced Dallas in it yet, has they? But it's set in the 80s, isn't it? So you think they would do. Anyway, that was the trigger for me to go, right, how do I lose this? How do I switch this off? Because I'm just automatically picking it up. And that idea of a digital detox, as I said, when I go on holiday, it's easy because I'm out of the country and I'm just sat by a pool. So quite often my phone doesn't even come with me. It's on airplane mode. It's in the safe in the hotel room. I'm sat by a pool with a Kindle. I'm happy. But I think we had a staycation. When was that? May half term. And I looked at it and thought, oh, actually, it's the Jubilee. So we had the Jubilee bank holidays. Then we had a weekend. Then there was half term. Then there was another weekend. So there was like 17 days that I could go without checking anything. And I literally forced myself to have a 17-day digital detox where I didn't check emails and I didn't go on social media. Those were my two rules. And that was difficult because my email is here. I'm in the office and I'm still at home. So it's very easy to just nip in the office. What shall I do today? I'm a bit bored. I know. I've got a Chromebook in the kitchen. I could just open the Chromebook. There's my email right in front of me. I could just pop into the office. I could look on my phone. I have still got the Gmail app on my phone. No social media. That was deleted. And that 17-day digital detox, I felt so much clarity, so much like a weight had been lifted off my shoulder. And it sounds cliche.
I have the word liberated.
Yeah, it was, because it just felt, I mean, like you said, nothing burnt to the ground. Yes, there were a few things that I could have dealt with and probably should have dealt with before. But because I knew I was having a 17-day digital detox, I made sure that wages were scheduled early. People who I would normally give an update to, I let them know I wouldn't be available. I updated my autoresponder so people knew I wouldn't be back until this date. And the world didn't collapse. I felt better. And I was chatting with someone yesterday and I said, I don't know what's going on, but I feel so much less stress. I feel calmer than I have for a long time. And I don't know why. Now, we're recording this about 6 weeks after my 17-day digital detox. I haven't gone back to social media. I drop in and I chat with my network socially, which those who've read Evergreen Assets will know I don't believe in social media. But I spend very little time on there. And that's liberating. I spend as little time as I have to in my email inbox. And that's liberating. And it's that compound effect of just having that digital detox. I know we're going to kick off, and we always talk about it every year in the summer special. Summer mode is kicking off. So as soon as the kids break up from holiday, I've got 2 weeks of complete break. We're off on a foreign holiday. Brilliant. Sunshine, ice cream, paddleboarding, just not even thinking about work, other than obviously reading a ton of Kindle books and thinking, oh, can't wait to get back to work to do this. Then when I'm back, 3-day work weeks for the summer holidays. So there's opportunities to do staycations, there's day trips, things like that. But crucially, having that downtime then. So when I'm not working, I'm not working. And to me, email, social media, news, anything like that is working. And let's use the example of the political turmoil that happened last month. I think we can hopefully say that happened last month.
It'll be done by
recording this.
That, will it? I don't know.
Yeah. No, I don't check the news, but I knew on the day that Boris Johnson had resigned. Now, why did I know that? Because it was important enough for people to talk about it, for people to tell me. So I don't need to have it in my feed. I don't need to check BBC News every day just in case a prime minister resigns, or we go to war, or the stock market crashes, or there's a global pandemic and we're all told to stay at home. If it's that important, someone will tell me. Probably you.
Probably me. Because I'm interested in that word that you used earlier, actually, and that was, it doesn't serve you. You said you used the word serve, and I think that's really important because your phone and your technology and stuff should be there to serve you and your interests and your best interests. And very often for most people nowadays, it doesn't, whether that's scrolling through your Facebooks or scrolling through your things. Obviously, we use Facebook as a tool in our businesses. Yeah. And so therefore it's part of our world. We have to be part of it and we have to be in it kind of thing. But then it's serving us, not just filling my time scrolling through, doing blah, 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 doing with it, looking out for cat pictures. I think that's our favorite quote, isn't it? Cat pictures and, what's everybody else up to? Yeah. It doesn't serve us that. No. And emails don't serve us, generally speaking. Most of our inbox doesn't serve us. There's a few emails that might, but most do not anymore. Yeah.
Everything's disproportionate. Yeah. And particularly, when you look at email, it's everyone else's to-do list. And I think most people, when they open their email inbox, certainly if you take 17 days off, and I think I came back to, a couple of hundred emails. It wasn't as bad as it used to be. Crikey. Before spam filters and everything like that, it used to come back to thousands of emails. And, spam. Yeah. It was like the Monty Python, spam. Anyway, not going there. Copyright issues.
Sorry,
I'm not paying John Cleese anything for this. We've already talked about him far too much today. Where was I? Spam, yes, of course. My favorite thing with Facebook is when anybody says to me, have you seen so-and-so's post? And I can immediately go, no. No, I haven't. If it's on Facebook, no, I haven't seen it. And even like within our 1% group, I don't look on there at weekends. I don't look there when I'm having a digital detox. So sometimes Sarah will be on Facebook at the weekend, scrolling away on her phone, and she'll say, have you seen Rupert's post in the group. And I'm like, no, it's Sunday. Why would I have seen his post on a Sunday? And that's no disrespect to Rupert or any of the 1%ers, but we are teaching people and helping people to design their ambitious lifestyle business. So for me, the lifestyle I desire is not working weekends. It's not being, this weekend, for example, I've got, I'm taking Harry to a gymnastics performance. I want to watch Harry do her gymnastics. I don't want to be sat on my phone in the gymnastics hall scrolling Facebook. No, I will devote my time and energy to Rupert's post on Monday. Mm-hmm. Give it the attention it fully deserves then, rather than my distracted attention over the weekend.
Love it. So here endeth our 5-hour summer spectacular, I think we'll call it.
Bloody hell, it's autumn now. Look at that.
I didn't realise we had to keep talking until it was released. But that's fantastic. Oh, mate, it's going to be a
bumper summer special.
Yes. Yeah, it's going to be a great time, and hopefully, our 1%ers and our ambitious lifestyle business podcast followers will all have an awesome summer too. Looks like the weather's going to cook up a little bit, so we're nice and warm for us all. But yeah, nice to see you, bud.
Nice to see you. Nice. Have a great summer. Let's play some golf.
Yes, when are we doing that?
I don't know. Should we talk that after the recording?
Let's. Take care.
Awesome.
Yeah, bye.
So there we are, another episode in the can. How was it for you? Please let us know. However you listen to these podcasts, please leave a review on that platform. Let us know what we can do better, what you like, what you don't like, and how we can improve to make this show even better for you. We'll see you next time.